Alright, this is not going to be a very long video, but I wanted to make one because I had an interesting trip into town, and I was not feeling great, but I said, you know what, I need to get out and get some exercise and do a few meaningful things. So I went up to the bins to see what I could do, and the bins were super thin, but the last row of the night came out, and crazy thing happened. Media came out, all kinds of DVDs, CDs, VCR tapes, what have you, and I won't show you much of that. This was just kind of a funny thing I picked up before. My buddy, a real pal, Tracing Color, there's only one page, it's got some pencil on it on the back sheet there, but I just thought that was funny. I think that he became Chucky eventually, or they based it on him, I think, what happened there, but that has nothing to do with anything. So I was the only vinyl record collector there. That's like a hardcore one that comes there every day looking for vinyl records and all that stuff. And then I threw back a Van Morrison record, which was, average, and I didn't really particularly care. It's not super valuable. But some older lady in her probably 60s was asking me if it would play okay, and she didn't know anything about cleaning, but I gave her some tips on, how to do the soap and water method, and it should help out a little bit. But and I said, if there's, you will hear some surface noise, but it'll probably be okay. I just didn't need that one. So she thanked me, and then I proceeded to find some really cool records. And so we'll start off this one here, and I about jumped out of my skin when I found it. Well, actually I did when I found any records that were almost worth keeping. Now, I will say that these first two records are in dreadful condition, but I had to have one. The first one actually has a story here. This one came from community radio station KBOO in Portland. They have kind of a reputation of playing very weird things and very inappropriate things, and they also have a reputation of playing everything for all the way through without editing. So they edit virtually nothing on their channel. So there's all kinds of F-bombs and curse words that come through on the music there. And this is from their radio station. It says Contemporary Popular Music, Jeff Beck, Truth. And there's air date question mark, and it says KBOO. Now, I'm not sure what was going on here, but it says Sale. Alright, S-A-L-E. And I don't know if that's part of the LP, or that's somebody had written Sale in gold Sharpie or something like that. But this record is roached. And then there's some DJ notes on the back back here. It says, how about this one? Where is this one? And then the disc is once again where it belongs. No, not in something direction or collection. No, not in something collection. Bad surface. And then it says up your bleep on that one, and then it says KBOO in big huge letters. So it's kind of, I want to say, a famed rock, or famed everything station in Portland. So I just said, you know what, I like collecting records that came from, other people's archives, and they don't need to be mint, they don't need to be value. I just think the story is kind of funny, how they basically took poor care of it, and this is all jacked up together, and it's just really in bad condition, but that adds to the charm of that one. Then this is what made me jump out of my skin. It's in not good condition according to the cover here. I did not look at the vinyl because I was just nerding out about here. But I think this is from 1954, and I want to say this is mono, because there's nowhere on here that says stereo here. But this is the first time I've ever picked up or found a Chet Baker album at any kind of thrift store. Chet Baker and Strings. Now, it's not super valuable. I guess people ask about $30 for it, but look at the cover. See, Rippo Dippo. So the seam split is all the way through, and it's basically kind of brown toned there. So unfortunately, it's not in very good condition that way. There's only one seam that theoretically could be re-glued, and I don't know how I'd repair that one there. I'll just throw it in a plastic slip, and the vinyl looks like it's probably in okay condition. It's in loved condition, but what can you do? Chet Baker for $1.29. I just thought that was awesome to grab that. That's very cool. Very cool. 1954. Chet Baker didn't leave the most stellar of lives there. I don't know when he died, but he's just a darling among the record store day groups there. And I just said, okay, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, taking it, taking it, taking it. Even if it was complete junk, I would frame that. So, and I have almost no, it's super rare to find any decent jazz of any kind. But I found this one here. It doesn't have a ton of value. Again, when I say ton of value, there's a seam, or there's a split in the case right here. Now, this one I had to pay up for because our Goodwill store says, well, if there's more than one record, you have to pay a record price, $1.29 times how many ever records are in the set there. You know, so if you bought one of those Time Life things or one of those like Long Jeans, you know, sets or whatever, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I just spent $15 on a record that's worth $0. You know, record set that just basically used to, like, you know, raise your monitor on the table here. But I got Miles Davis, Master of Styles. I was like, what? You know, and there was some records with active mold on it. It was just the bizarrest of collections. There were a lot of, I want to say 7 inches, but there were a bunch of like 78s or something. It was just some kind of weird thing of records. I get maybe Goodwill didn't know what to do with it, but they should know better with Miles Davis. That's for dang sure. And so whatever might be on here, it's got side 1. So there's 3 LPs in here: Jeru, Budo, Boplicity, Israel 4. Blue and Boogie, When I Fall in Love, Half Nelson, you get the idea. Miles Stones, ooh, Miles Stones. And this is probably from the 1970s or the early 80s. I can't read that date there. Almost looks like 84 there. I'm not sure when this was, but this, anyway, I was happy to grab this one here. So again, I saw it as low as 20 bucks on Discogs. Yes, I know, the old eBay Discogs thing there. And that is all I picked up. Like I said, I was really happy to give away that copy of Van Morrison. It's some of these hoity-toity, snooty record collectors would have passed it. Said, yeah, I know the covers are relatively okay, but meh, I really wouldn't, take that. And even that Chet Baker, I know people would leave that because the cover is destroyed. But just having a copy of that is just outstanding. I have never in my life, now I will say that back in the 90s and early mid-2000s, I did not know who some of these jazz artists were. So I could have seen them, but within the last 5+ years or so, I have found none of them. Because everybody watches your Record Store Days videos and knows that Miles Davis and Chet Baker are 2 of the big guys. There's a couple other a couple other guys that are just like legends. And I could have dug a little further, but I was super tired. And there was one that had mold on it that I really wanted, but I just have to say no to some of these things and leave it behind. Would I have liked it? Maybe would I have liked, I should have taken a picture of it. That's my problem. I don't always take pictures of things that I kind of want. So I spent a whopping $11 and some change on that. And to top it off, I bought a little electric cash register. That's a battery-operated cash register. That was a toy. And I don't know, it was probably 70-odd cents for that, or not even 70-odd cents. And there was $4.50 worth of loose change behind the drawer in it. So that paid for, a third of my Goodwill trip. That was awesome. That was very awesome. And I got a few other interesting things. I got some little Japanese decoration that I could have swear it had a $250 price tag on it. I'll have to look. It looks like resin or something. It's not ivory. If it was ivory, I'd be in hot water, and so would Goodwill, but whatever. Very cool to find those records there. It's just like when you have thrift stores that wipe out everything, only a few record stores that know what they have, and you really have to pay crazy amounts of money for certain things, and they're not really easy as to, I don't know, I have very little options, and I'm so happy that my Discogs order came through with 2 bonus. I could have done without the bonus records, but again, they're fine. I can gift those to people who are novice collectors and need things like the mamas and papas. I'll double check and see if I have a copy. If I don't, then I will probably keep that. Hope everybody had a great Monday. I've got some other work things that I have to figure out in the next few days here. A little nerve-wracking there. I'm sure I will be able to figure it out. I got some alerts on my phone. I have to figure out if that's a legit or a scam or what it is. I don't understand because it wants me to log into something and I can't see the whole message, and so it's really frustrating. I don't want to, agree to something that I don't know what it is, so I'll have to do some research on the computer. But just these last few days, and everybody was hacked. I would say everybody, but a lot of people had like kind of a nagging cough they were trying to nurse, and so there's stuff still going around here. It's a lesser variant of what else was going around a month ago. A month ago, I was able to skip all that, so I don't know how I did, but some people really got hammered, and it was worse than, some people said it was worse than previous things that have happened recently. So watch out for that kind of stuff going around. Anyway, it's one of those things you just don't, with the Goodwill store, you just have to expect the unexpected. Everybody was disappointed that was thin, but I was happy to spend very little money because I wasn't looking to spend money. I just needed to get out and get some exercise, and I was rewarded with 3 records. I was probably also rewarded because I wasn't going to break the cash register in the store and take the money. I bought the cash register instead. Very happy I did that, and thank you for watching.
Bum, bum.